Okay, good morning everyone. So I've now got my mobile phone set up with my laptop, so it's all a bit weird. But how is everyone? It's 2021. I was just talking to someone this morning, messaging them saying that, last year we were all like, oh, I can't wait for 2021, it's going to be great, it's going to be wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And actually, it's just the same as last year, isn't it, really? Very little has changed. A lot of our weddings that we work with, they've postponed to 2022, and some of them actually booked in 2018. So to postpone it, 4 years, it's really awful for them because they just want to get married. But it's not that good for us either. So, but we're all in the same boat. We're all struggling. So I have decided that this year we're going to try and be a little bit more creative. So last year, at the beginning of lockdown, I did these 11s chats, half an hour. Well, it was about like 20 minutes every day at 11 o'clock for about 15-20 minutes. A little bit longer if I got on my soapbox and talked about something. But I just thought, I was getting a little bit despondent and demoralised and having lockdown fatigue. Just getting a little bit down because everything in the business was just flat. It's not just me, everyone in the events industry, it's just flat. And it's really, really hard to pick yourself up when you're feeling so flat. Because normally I'm quite an upbeat person, so it's really, really tough. I'm struggling to feel a bit buoyant. But I was introduced to a great book about my ikigai. Actually, ironically, I was introduced to it by my husband, but I used to live in Japan, so I'm surprised I didn't know about this. But this book is really, really interesting, and I've read it twice now, and I'm just trying to be a little bit more living in the moment and actually doing things to give me purpose, because finding your own ikigai is finding purpose in life. And it might be a business, it might be a family member or a child or a parent or a hobby, or something that you do or watch or read. It could be anything. It doesn't really matter what it is. All that matters is if it gives purpose and happiness to you. And the concept is, if you do enough of those things every single day, and you eat correctly, you exercise. I love it, because their idea of exercise is not that you go crazy every day and run madly and do lots of things to make you sweat. The fact that you just move all the time, so it's movement and being content with what you do and actually finding a purpose. If you live a life in that way, you will live till you're 120. So I might have started a bit late, but better late than never. Anyway, so I'm actually filming. I've given myself a creative challenge for 2021, and it's to film 2-minute. Well, the end video clip will be 2 minutes, but it's each week that I'm working on for the whole year. So it'll be 2 minutes for a week for the whole year, just to see, to highlight that even though I'm feeling a little bit down in the dumps, there are positive things around us, and there are things that give us enjoyment, and there are things that give us purpose, that's ordinarily we might dismiss. So that's where I'm coming from at the moment. So today I thought I'd just show you something I'm working on. I've been very late in working on this, and I am going to apologise to my client by email later. But I took 2 weeks off with eye surgery. I hadn't realised how long it would take me to recover. It was, but I feel it's not 100% there, but at least I can see, which is a good thing when you sew. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and find the needle, but I'm just going to show you now is when we make the bunting, all the fabrics are chosen by the client. And as you can see here behind me, we have an array of fabrics which sort of are in stock. And if they're not in stock, then I tend to buy from all different suppliers. I don't have just one supplier. I think I find that a little bit boring. I've got lots of different favourite suppliers, and they specialise in certain things. So we go around and just find the right fabric if I haven't got it in. And I tend to buy more than I need, and then I've got excess, especially if it's something that I really think is pretty. But this particular client wanted a Liberty fabric, and it's absolutely beautiful. We have the red and we have the blue colourway here. Oops. Try not to throw it all on the floor. And the blue. The blue is really pretty. So I'm making bunting for two little girls, one in the red and one in the blue. Now this is fairly expensive. It's something like £24 a metre, which is probably more than I would pay for a fabric for bunting, but this is for a special client, and it really is beautiful. It's quite lightweight. It's almost a cotton lawn, so they're all cottons, but they give them different names depending on the weight and how heavy the fabric is. And you can see through, I can actually see the light shining through this. So it's quite lightweight. So what I'm going to have to do is actually put an interlayer and have 3 layers in the flags, because if you don't, and actually if you buy polycotton, well, I don't use polycotton, but if you were to buy a cheaper end polycotton, you should always put an inside layer, because it's just too thin, and when you hang it up, it just isn't as nice if you can see the light shining through. So this one, although it's a beautiful cotton and it's absolutely stunning print, it is quite lightweight, so I will actually put extra fabric in to make that look a little bit better, and actually the weight of it will hang it up. We are putting a little girl's name on it. Now when you come to what you need to do to actually get your triangles set, because I've been doing this for so long, I have so many bag full. I have all of these triangles. There are so many triangles, and you know, all I do is cut up boxes, cereal boxes. It's like photograph paper, Magimix. I can't remember even buying that. And just lots of different sizes, different triangles. So I have standard ones for bunting that goes outside. I even have little diddy ones. I have standard ones that I use all the time. So this is my kiddies one, and I often have to replace it because when I cut with a rotary cutter, I tend to nick the edge, so you can see it's a little bit dogged, but actually you don't need anything too fancy. So just cut one. If you're going to do it for yourself, just find a size of the triangle that you really want and you like. Cut it just out of cereal card is really good, actually. A big cereal packet, just keep the cardboard and use that as a template, and then you've got it and keep it. The other thing that I have a lot of is I don't know if you can see in here. That is 17 years worth of design, and in there I have all my stencils that I've hand drawn, so all of them are hand drawn, and this is my little alphabet. So I made these back in, I don't know, I've had these 12 years or something. So I created these myself, drew them myself and just photocopied them, and as you can see they're back to front. You can see it the right way around, that's right, because it's a mirror, but when I look at it, they're back to front, I can assure you. So when you come to make up your bunting, you choose your fabric, think about the weight of the fabric, and think about the colours that you want to use. It's very important to have something that's contrasting. We are going to go with green because it brings out the green. We're also going to go with pink. Now that loses a little bit on there, but by putting a pale thread around the edges, it will make the letters pop, so I'm not worried about it at all. So basically cut your fabric into strips depending on the height of the triangle. So all you have to do is lay your triangle flat on the strip that you've cut, which is the width of the length of the triangle, if that makes sense. So I'm going to hang it up like that. So your fabric width is the length of the triangle. When you measure, keep turning the triangle like this all the way along. That's the best use of the fabric. So when you come to buy your fabric, make sure you buy a pattern which you can have both ways. If you have a pattern that only goes one way, you can only use half of the fabric because the pattern will only go down. So there's a lot of wastage. So it's better value for money if you can find a fabric that you can look at both ways. So once you've got your triangles all cut out, just lay them together, nice and freshly pressed. And then you need to trace out your letters. Now this little girl's name is Rosie. So I have this super duper, I buy stacks of it, Bondeweb. So basically it's tracing paper on one side, and on this side it's quite rough and sticky. So I trace my letters. Once I have my letters, I cut the paper, cut them out into sort of chunks, and then the rough side, which is a sticky side, I actually press onto the wrong side of the fabric. So that is back to front, chunky letter on the wrong side of the fabric. That's the right side. This one is actually textured, so when you lay out your letters, make sure that you are actually laying them in the right direction of the fabric. Once you've done all you've chosen your colours, what letters are going to be which colour, cut out your letter, which I have done here, and then once you've I'll show you this one here. I have different scissors as well. This is I'm a little bit particular about my scissors, and I always have different coloured handles. One is for cutting out paper, one is for fabric, and one is for fine cutting. And I'm very precious about my fabric scissors. You are not allowed to cut any paper with my fabric scissors, otherwise I get cross. So I'm just going to cut out one here. I'll cut out the O. So you literally, I'm going to cut here. So it is actually time consuming. I think the beauty about having something that's handmade is you're going to get something that is completely bespoke. It's unique. Every time I cut out a letter, I might cut it slightly differently because I'm not a robot. So each one is going to be a little bit different. I don't think I've ever made any two that are exactly the same. And you know who's made it and where they've made it. You know, if you're buying something that's off a shelf that's come from China, you know, you just don't know who's made it, where everything's come from. It's going to be the same as everybody else's, you know, so that's what you're getting when you get a handmade product. So here I can see that actually I haven't cut that very well. So sometimes I just trim round if I can see that it's wrong. So we've got the letter cut out. Now this paper, this Bondeweb paper, it's actually a double-sided fused sticky wonderful thing. So you literally are going to peel the tissue paper, sorry, the tracing paper off the back. So this is waste, and then I don't know if you can see that this actually has a shiny coat. I've got a little bit caught there, so I'm just going to fix that, but I'll do that later. So what you do, you take in your letter and you're going to go to your for your iron, and you'll put the sticky side, position it in the right place on your flag, and heat press. Just press all the way down hot. Don't rub it, just hold it for a couple of seconds. Not just be careful you don't hold it too long that you damage the fabric underneath. So this is one that I did earlier. You can see it's not standing out so much. This is a good point. If you're making it yourself and you don't want to hand stitch the edge, I always hand stitch the edge of mine. I could machine stitch if we were doing capital letters, but for this style of lettering I would always hand stitch. If you don't, you can see it's not going to stand out very much. So if you don't want to hand stitch the edge, make sure you choose fabrics which are really contrasting. So for example, I just happen to have this on my table, navy from a previous job. So if you were going to have hot pink on navy, then you wouldn't have to worry about hand stitching because that would stand out. Excuse me. But on this one it's quite subtle, so that's why we need to hand stitch the edges. So now this is just embroidery thread. DMC is actually quite a nice brand. This one I've actually bought from Stoff. There's a lovely European company that makes really, really nice fabric. Stoff, S-T-O-F. And on their website they actually sell embroidery thread. So if I'm buying a whole pile of plain cottons, they don't really do, they do some pattern ones, but I order just plain cotton from them. It's really lovely quality. If I'm ordering a bulk supply of, I don't know, massive amount of meters of plain cotton, I would just put on the order as well lots of these threads, just because it's better value for postage. But these threads are, I don't know if you can see there, might actually, it's probably not very focused, sorry, but there's lots of different strands here. There are 6 strands, so these embroidery threads tend to have 6 strands, and for me I only use 3, so you have to split each one. You could use all 6, but I find that it's a little bit chunky and a bit thick, and also it's more cost effective obviously to split it up. So here's where my eyes come into, are they going to work? They're working. So thread your needle, put a nice little double knot at the end. Now anyone can do the stitching, it doesn't really matter. You know, if you're going to make this for yourself, don't fret about how good your stitching is or what your stitching looks like, because you know, if you're making it for yourself, the fact that you're making it and giving it to someone or keeping it, you know, you should just be proud of that. So I wouldn't worry too much. I always do blanket stitching just because I like it, and it takes me about 15 minutes to sew each one, and I find it quite relaxing to actually just sit and sew. Normally I just have Radio 1 on, and just listen to the music and have it blaring out, but I've turned it off because I'm not sure I'm allowed to play it live on Facebook without getting into trouble. And I think with blanket stitching it's very, very, very easy stitch to do. You literally, let's see if I can try and you can actually just see the stitches starting, so it's going to be the pale pink on the dark pink, so you can see that. And to blanket stitch, you literally, if I bring this closer, I wonder if you can see, you literally put your needle, it's really hard, I can't actually show you it in this angle, that's right. I'm trying to think if there's any other way I could do it without, I need 2 hands to do it. I think what I might do is, I'm trying to think how I can do it without faffing on. I'm going to have to show you another time actually. That could be, if it's something that you're interested in learning how to do blanket stitching, send me a message and I will look at that and see if we can create something video to show you, because we need the camera behind really, don't we? But I would just sit here and just carry on sewing all the way around, and don't pull too tight, because what we don't want to do is buckle the fabric. And this is just self-taught for me. I think that's how I started back in 2004. You know, I made one for my daughter, and weirdly I just knew how to do it. I don't know, I got a lot of help as to how to put it together, but the sewing, I just was able to do it. I don't know how. It must have been a school, you know, I did sewing when I was 10 years old in school, so it must have been a latent memory that surfaced. But I just find it quite enjoyable. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day making this lovely one for Rosie, and then putting it together is just really, really super easy. And all the scrap fabrics, so when you've cut you're trying your fabric out, you will get scrap fabrics like this. So just keep hold of them, you never know when you might need them. They'd be great for making mini bunting for the top of a cake, or for decorating a greetings card, or you could actually use it for covering buttons. You can get these button covering sets. They're really, really easy. I used to do them ages ago. I stopped doing it now. They're a little bit faffy, but super easy to do, and you can use that for that. So there's loads of different things you can do, or make it into strips and make a wreath by just trying getting for a door, let's say for an Easter wreath for the door, you could actually just get a circular shape from Amazon or something, and then just put the strips round and tie all the way around, and that looks quite nice. So there's lots of different things you can do with scraps, so don't ever get rid of those. But I will carry on doing this today, and I don't know if we can see. You see on the pale pink, you can see on the pale pink against the dark, it's going to stand out and look quite pretty. Obviously when we come to do the dark green letters, it will stand out really well because of the colour. If you would like to know more about it, then please let me know, and I can help you further. Next week, there's a new thing I'm working on as well, which will start next week. I did my first ever patchwork quilting. I was quite pleased about this. This is just a test one. Doing an 8-pointed star. It's taken a while to sort of figure out in my head how to do it, but actually I was quite pleased with the results. So watch this space, because I'm going to work more on this. If you want me to show you how to do that, I'm more than happy to do that. I will set up a better camera so that we can see the angles a little bit better. If you'd like to join me next Thursday, and I hopefully will be a little bit more technically able, is that the only word, technically able to show you what I'm doing, then I will try much better next week. But have a good week, and thanks for joining me. All right, bye for now.